I keep my goals to myself, cause whenever I share it with folks, they get a look upon their face and their memory floats to a time where their goals and the stars.
What's good? It's your boy Jay, that's me. We're going to get into AEW Dynamite from March the 4th, 2026. This was a very boring and bland episode of Dynamite. However, I did like the opener between MJF and Kevin Knight. It seems like Tony Khan does think kind of highly of Kevin Knight, and I think in years to come he will be a future AEW champion or possibly even an AEW World champion. Maybe. I also like the fact that Swerve choked out Brody King with the chain, adding a little bit more heat for their match at Revolution. I wonder if that's going to be just a regular match or if they're going to add like a stipulation to the match. I don't know. I doubt it because you already have a Texas death match between Hangman and MJF. You don't want to add any more weapons or nothing like that or whatever. Maybe you do like a no DQ, but they don't use as many weapons and all that stuff. So I don't know. But I do like that. Other than that, Dynamite was very lackluster. It is what it is, though. All right, so we kicked the show off with the first match of the night. MJF defeats Kevin Knight. He retains the AEW World Championship via the Heat Seeker. Match was solid. MJF sold a lot for Kevin Knight. Kevin Knight got most of his stuff in. He did a couple of corkscrew moonsaults and stuff. He also did two Suicidas. And then, like I said before, MJF got the win via the Heat Seeker. So that's fine there. It is what it is. Apparently, this match happened because of what took place on Collision between MJF and Kevin Knight. The two of them had some words, and that led us to this match. So that's fine there. It is what it is. Post-match, MJF was going to attack Kevin Knight some more and use the Dynamite Diamond Ring, but to no avail because Hangman Adam Page came out to make the save, along with Speedball Mike Bailey, who super kicked MJF. Okay, that's fine there. Moving on, this leads us into Darby Allin and Orange Cassidy defeating Gabe Kidd and Clark Connors, a.k.a. Hangman Adam Page 2.0. Orange Cassidy and Darby Allin, they jumped the Bullet Club Dogs of War. They jumped them, so it is what it is. Who cares? Post-match, David Finlay showed up and he beat up Orange Cassidy and Darby Allin with his shillelagh. So that's fine. Cool stuff there, I guess. I thought he was going to go to WWE and join his brother and be the leader of this faction that they're doing in NXT. But he turned that down to be with his friends Gabe Kidd and Clark Connors. Who really gives a shit? I don't think David Finlay will do much in AEW. He will just be another person on the roster. He'll be just another good hand, and that's just it. He might win some gold, mainly, trios championships mainly, and probably a tag team championship here or there, and maybe even a mid-card title. But that's about it. But it is what it is. It's not really all that important. Whatever. Moving on from that, this leads us into a backstage segment involving Bandito and Andrade El Idolo. So they talk about their match that's coming up at Revolution, and that was it. Basically, Andrade kind of shoot off Bandito, and the match should be fun as hell because both guys are very good, and I'm a fan of both Andrade and Bandito, so this should be fun if we're being honest. So there's that. Moving on, this leads us into the Brawling Birds. Yeah. They had a match on this show, and it was against the Inspiration, a.k.a. the Iconics. So, rumor had it that they probably were going to go back to WWE, but that wasn't the case. They ended up going to AEW, which is fine. I think they'll become AEW Women's Tag Team Champions at some point. I think that's why they were brought in. Clearly, they are more character than anything else, and I think that's fine. I know the AEW fan base, the dumbass sickos, they hate that. But again, in wrestling, you have to have character. That's what sells, right? It's not about doing the moves and everything else. Who cares about that? That's not that important, right? I think that's the hive mindset of these clowns online, these dumbass sickos online that just crave just moves and matches from, Uncle Dave and, from Uncle Dave and Alvarez. So, whatever. But it's fine. The Brawling Brutes, they win. Who really cares? It's not really that important. Whatever. So Miss Ospreay gets the win. Not that I really care, though. Whatever. Who gives a shit? Moving on. Hangman Adam Page defeats a local jobber. He ends up hitting the buckshot lariat. Match lasted about maybe 10 seconds. So post-match, Hangman gets on the mic, says if MJF wants a piece of him, he has to put his future at stake to do whatever his parents should have done 30 years ago, and that is to teach him a lesson. He tells MJF that in Texas death, he has no conscience. He tells MJF that he'll rip him apart, and he'll tear him apart. He says MJF is the world champion. Surely he he doesn't scare him, that being Hangman Adam Page. It's already shown that he wants to punch MJF. My bad. MJF comes out and says that he's already shown that he wants to punch somebody with his diamond ring. So, MJF comes out. So, he makes fun of El Paso. MJF tells Hangman that he whipped Knight's ass. Kevin Knight's ass. He says it's bad enough that he has to listen to him yap every single week. And next week at the press conference, not to make him come down there and whip his ass too. So then, Hangman is then jumped by the Don Callis family. MJF gets out of Dodge. Then, Don Callis gets on the mic, and then he lays out a challenge for them for the Trios Championships. And that's the main event. I don't really give a shit about this. Moving on, this leads us into a backstage segment involving the Young Bucks and FTR. So they're sitting in an office with Renee Paquette in the middle, who's trying to mediate all this shit. So FTR says they power drove their brother. They pushed their parents, and the Young Bucks says at Revolution, it won't just be about them winning the titles. It'll be about revenge. I don't care about any of that shit. Who gives a fuck? Moving on. Jon Moxley defeats Hechicero. This match went on way, way, way too damn long. Like, these Moxley matches are putting me to sleep. What the fuck? So Moxley ends up winning via the paradigm shift. Takeshita comes out, and he has a stare down with Moxley, and that was the end of that. I don't care. Moving on from that, this leads us into Brody King. He calls out Swerve Strickland. So Prince Nana answers. He asks Brody King if he's sure he wants to go down that rabbit hole. Brody tells him that, Brody tells him to bring Swerve out. So Prince Nana laughs. So Swerve comes out, but he attacks Brody from behind with a steel chain. He chokes out Brody. And Swerve tells Brody that this is how you chain a dog. Swerve says all of AEW is on notice. It's one thing to talk about being the most dangerous man, and it's another thing to actually do it. And he's about that action. He tells Brody King they just see him at Revolution, and then Bandito comes out and makes a save, and then Swerve gets out of Dodge. So I like this. This is pretty cool stuff there. I like that. Interesting. Heel Swerve is the best Swerve. He really is. Heel Swerve is the best version of Swerve. Swerve being babyface does not fit his character. It kind of makes him like a bitch, if we're being honest. Moving on, Tekla defeats Thunder Rosa for the AEW Women's Championship. She retains it. Match was pretty okay. Thunder Rosa got a good reaction and everything else. So, there's that. Tekla winning via the stomp, that's fine there. Thunder Rosa, she got some stuff in. Now that Thunder Rosa lost, it's probably back to Collision for her and or probably Ring of Honor. I really think that Tony Khan should release Thunder Rosa, and she should go to really either NXT or TNA. I think she'd be fine in either promotion, if we're being honest. I think NXT would do wonders for Thunder Rosa. She's a veteran and everything else, so that's good there. And she would do very well in TNA. Same thing there. So Chris Statlander came out to make the save, and yada yada yada, whatever. It's not really that important. I forgot to mention that Lady Frost, she will no longer be with AEW come April 1st. So there is that. That's fine. I expect her to go to either NXT or back to TNA. She probably will end up going back to TNA versus NXT, really, if we're being honest. Moving on from that, this leads us into Renee Paquette. She is out to introduce Tommaso Ciampa. He tells her that Kyle Fletcher took his TNT title, and now he's hiding behind the Don Callis family. He said that Kyle Fletcher knows that the second they get into the ring, he'll become the new TNT champion, and then he's confronted by FTR, and then Tommaso Ciampa punches Dax Harwood. So I guess this is going to lead to a match on Collision. Who gives a shit? I don't care. And Tommaso Ciampa said he wanted to be a top guy. He could be a top guy, but AEW wouldn't be the place for him to be the top guy. That would happen probably in TNA, just not in AEW. Again, it's too many guys that he has to deal with. MJF, Hangman, Swerve, Omega, Ospreay. No. He could be a top guy in due time, but I doubt it. I think Tommaso Ciampa knows that he's going to be in that mid-card. So, it is what it is. Who gives a damn? But Tommaso Ciampa will be fine. So, yeah. Main event of the evening. The Don Callis family, they win the AEW Trios Tag Team Championships. Who cares? They defeat Hangman, Adam Page, and Kevin Knight and speak out Mike Bailey. I don't care about this. I didn't even watch this shit. So, whatever. So, Okada hit a clothesline, and then Mark Davis hit a pile driver, and that was it. I don't care about any of this shit. It's all dumb. Fuck the Don Callis family. The Death Riders, they had a promo on this show. It's not important. They were backstage. Who cares about this shit, too? I don't care about the Death Riders or the Don Callis family. We thought they were going to turn the Death Riders heel and take out Jon Moxley, but that has yet to happen. Don't know when that will happen at all. So, whatever. Who gives a shit? The show was so-so. Very lackluster. I expect more of the same for the Go Home show next week. They'll probably deliver at Revolution, more than likely, because AEW usually does pretty okay pay-per-views. We already know Tony Khan's going to book this thing to last 4.5 to 5 hours. So, whatever. It is what it is. But all in all, Dynamite was very lackluster and uneventful and boring as fuck. But what did you guys think? Let me know. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace.